Before we get into some of the methods that are more widely known on the surface level in alchemical circles, we should direct some light at a few important practical considerations. In addition to asserting there is only one path with many methods, we have discussed elemental generation through evolutionary thresholds, the quantum nature of the magnetic astral, stellar light, and the rotation of the elements. Most of what we have discussed about operative alchemy thus far has been the top-down alchemy of generative starlight to obtain pure elements, and the ideas about how alchemists approached elemental generation through their fountains. Most of what is in adept texts, however, is related to bottom-up alchemy, with occasional expectations based on their direct experience that one thing would transform into another thing based upon a mechanical aspect of top-down alchemy, without clearly stating exactly why a thing was expected to happen. From a certain adept point of view in alchemy, physical substances with their non-physical blueprint level, which holds the patterns to which substances form on an information level, are still just dead, worldly substances. Regular substances were not considered to be alchemically alive unless enough generative starlight had been captured into the substances functioning as elemental vessels to then be considered philosophically enlivened, because such substances then change how they behave from when they are otherwise still philosophically dead. Understanding this concept on a practical level is an initiatory key for deciphering adept texts. If this one thing is omitted in the alchemical text, or referred to so enigmatically, as is usually the case, that unless one had already been taught that one idea, it would not really matter if the rest of what they said was very plainly stated, which it rarely was. Because the philosophically dead substances that had not become vessels for the philosophical elements would not do what the text said. Just having a physical substance, which is being referred to in the text, that is capable of being an appropriate vessel for a particular philosophical element, does not yet make it the element itself. It must be philosophically enlivened. That, coupled with the fact that adepts rarely said anything important plainly, is enough to hide things in plain sight and yet remain almost completely impenetrable to anyone not given initiatory training. Those ideas are paramount to the overarching success of truly alchemical operations. But in addition, there are always the practical considerations of methods utilized based upon the purpose of the work, i.e., medicine versus transmutation. The purpose of my alchemical work, which centers completely around theurgy and inherent embryonic human evolutionary capacity, has always been on alchemical substances obtained as psychospiritual medicines, genuine spiritual sacraments that facilitate the great work, full attainment of the stellar body of light. I do acknowledge transmutation, but I also hold the opinion that safely approaching the work of the medicine as my alchemical purpose means working with a different group of physical-based materials than what are often used in methods related to transmutation. While I do have a personal fascination with alchemical particulars, transmutative lesser stones, I am predominantly occupied with classes of rejuvenatives and the elixir of life. Compound interest earned over an extended lifespan has the same worldly function as making gold, and is far more suited to the nature of my particular pragmatism. So, regardless of purpose, there are principally only two core processes of obtaining the philosophical elements. Top-down generative alchemy, capturing some level of prima materia in a starting substance and stewarding the fire to reach specific thresholds upon which the pure elements are self-generated. an alchemical fountain, or bottom-up process alchemy, using a starting material and processing it with specific methods in order to obtain substances suitable, after they are purified, as vessels for particular philosophical elements to be attracted and concentrated to their threshold levels, which can then be applied to alchemical operations in the same manner as those obtained through generative alchemy. Then, depending upon purpose, selection of starting materials that are utilized to obtain the elements through a core process can be strategically determined. Finally, once the philosophical elements are obtained from core processes, they are then used to create specific combinations for different reasons: circulata, magistries, elixirs, quintessences, and stones. It should always be remembered that regardless of specific combinations of elements selected to confect a particular class of substance to use as medicine, or whatever the purpose is for the specific work undertaken, all of the results are achieved through the use of the same four philosophical elements, which can be rotated into and out of all other appropriate physical substances.